Bass are really controlled by the water temperature for their activity. Once that water gets above 50, they start feeding, but they're very, very slow to take bait. So usually what I do is I make a few wraps first, like so, just to get it in there, tail facing downwards like that. Then see that there's a little tag end? I'll take that tag end and I'll peel it back. And I almost reverse tie everything in I do, especially for streamer patterns, because it makes it twice as durable, if not more. So just take that, cut off that little end, and then I straighten it out so it's going to ride right like this. Okay, just like, and what I'll do, instead of wrapping it, using two pieces or anything, what I'll do, about as long as the hook shank, I'll take it and then I'll start twisting it, going like this, doing little wiggles on it to get it all the way around like so. Pinch it. And once again, it's in there. So then I'll take that tag end and I'll double wrap it, reverse wrap it in there so that it isn't going anywhere. That way you're not going to lose a bunch of materials. And it properly shrouds around the whole tail. Take the tail, just pull it back so there's just an end attached.
And this is on the Matuka?
No, not yet. This is just any soft tackle, kind of webby. You can also use salt water if you want it to be a little more stiff, which there are occasions where you want it to be bulkier and stiff. And then I'll reverse tie that feather in there all the way up. Clip that tag like so. Okay, and now we are ready for our chenille. So we just take a small piece of chenille, and it's going to have a really short body because of the hook shank, but this would be a great one for trout, for example. Now this is you'd wrap lead right now before you wrap this in here if you're going to wrap lead. But we're going to just keep this one. If you wrap lead though, what happens is it falls more flat, and in this style it falls more up and down. So that tail and everything will be sticking almost straight up in the air when it touches the bottom, which is a lot of the time exactly what I want. Pull that hook shank up, and I want to leave about 1/8 of an inch or so, maybe a touch more, something like that. I'll palmer everything back towards the head.
Would you ever put glue underneath the chenille before you wrap it, Jay?
I've never had a problem with the chenille coming on loose because you got wire on it, you've got all this other stuff. The head, it's detrimental. There's two styles to do the head in. I'm going to show you just the thread wrap way. You can get a special bead, like this one's pretty close, but that you just go all the way to the head like that and just leave it blank. But I like to actually wrap the head a little with thread so I can push everything back and everything kind of webs back. Yeah, come on in. All right, so now we're at the stage where we've wrapped up our chenille and tied it off, cut off the tag end of that, and then we're going to palmer our grizzly hackle. I usually do 4 times.
Yeah, absolutely. Bigger, like longer, or
Oh, that's kind of funky.
I think bigger basket has pretty small one.
Bad spot. And then reverse wrap it in again. Everything's reversed. I take that, pull it back, and all the time. Just get in the habit of doing that, and your flies are going to become twice as durable. And if there's a little stuff sticking off, don't worry about it. So now we take the wire, and the wire is just to keep that hackle from coming apart, just like a woolly booger. So basically, I mean, this has a lot, definitely a lot of woolly booger characteristics. which automatically makes it deadly.
119.
Okay, all right, you guys need to.
And even with the wire, reverse tied in. All right, so we got that. Now we're going to take the rubber legs.
You will be excited.
These ones that are still in the bag. One of these.
Do you have a bag I can figure out what's sneaking in
Where's that bag?
So
See what I can do for you.
stick it on one side like so, and just kind of hold it like that. Get it, and I like to be about as long as the tail, as the marabou part of the tail. Yeah, usually I make it a little longer so I can cut them straight at the end.
Do you have a hard and fast rule of how many legs you put in each?
You know,
You got 3 there.
I like 3. I find that any more, just it becomes kind of cloddy looking, and they don't have quite the, it starts to take over the fly a little bit. Whereas 3 just seems to be a great number. And then you take it and wrap it around the other side so you don't have to cut it, and it's going to make it more durable and less likely to pop, those legs to pop off. So now those legs aren't going to come off unless you pull them off. Okay, like so. Pull them down and cut them off even. I like to pull them straight down, but if you need to measure, usually I measure one side, do it, and then I cut the other side, like so. And you can make them as long as you want if you want, or short, but I like about that length. So it gives it a lot of movement in the water when you're jigging it, and that extra movement there. Then we go straight to our matuka, and I try to find longer, bigger material, webbier, longer ones, like so. And I'll actually see there's a little bit of like marabou material on the bottom of the fly, and I'll keep some of that on there too because it gives it a really nice action in the water. Cut off about there. Doesn't need to be huge. You're only going to wrap it about 3 times. Simply palmer that again, 3 times. You can do 2 times, 3 times, depending on how buggy you want it to look. You can do it 1 time if you want it real sparse, but 1, 2. We'll just do 2 because this is a smaller fly.
Where do you tie the base of that matuka?
Where do I tie it?
Where do you attach the base of the matuka?
Just on that last 1/8 inch that's left.
Okay, in that gap?
Yep.
Okay,
And you can bring it all the way up to the head because
okay.
what I like to do, and Solitude doesn't do this, make sure that's good, is I like to whip finish it off right here. This way, if for some reason that front end slips or
Just
start,
attached.
yeah,
Still attached.
it's still attached.
You can always go back there and retie if you have to.
Right. And you can just go over the bead here if you want, but I usually just cut it and then do one in the front because then it's not going to get frayed by hitting something on the bottom, hitting a
Right.
tree or
Instead
something.
of, you mean instead of overlapping?
Yeah, I could overlap it like I could pull it
Yeah,
and then
right,
overlap it like that, but then you have that.
Yeah, it's
like
more
that.
secure just to tie it off and redo it.
Yeah. So, and you'll see that when I take it like this, I'll push that down. It'll hide that green head
see
completely
that.
anyway. And then you can take it and then just
Restart another tie off.
make sure there's no fraying. My hands are so beat up from rowing a boat all summer that.
Does the color of that thread on that head right there matter to you?
I guess it depends on how clear the water is. I guess
Just to you, you don't know if it matters to the fish, does it
Yeah.
matter to you?
not too much, but
Okay.
I try to match the body head. Usually, if I was at home with all my materials, this head might be olive, but
Okay.